Hi, I'm Bob Stern.
Hi, I'm Ignacio Pujana.
We're faculty members at the University of Texas at Dallas, and we'd like to tell you about a unique new course that we call Geography, Resources, and Environment of Latin America. We call it GRELA for short. We geoscientists need to do a better job teaching undergraduates about the remarkable and important place south of us called Latin America. We consider Latin America to include all the land south of the United States, including the Caribbean islands. This is a huge region. It is about 6,600 miles from Tijuana, Mexico to Tierra del Fuego, a little more than 1/4 the way around the Earth. We have two main motivations for teaching this course. First, we would like to attract more Hispanic and LatinX students to be interested in science. Many organizations and disciplines, including our own, recognize the importance of increasing diversity in science, and we think that teaching about Latin America is a good way to engage Hispanic and Latinx students to want to learn more. Second, we think that non-Hispanic students need to learn more about the lands to the south. For this purpose, we updated a course we developed with NSF support in the 1990s and taught this to 23 students in fall of 2021. The class attracted mostly freshmen. No science majors enrolled, and there were 8 students with Hispanic last names. There is no suitable textbook, so course content is based on 23 lectures that are grouped into 5 modules: Geography and Geology, Minerals, Energy and Natural Hazards, and Water and the Environment. Because it is so important that students grasp where things are, the course begins with a lecture on the geography of Latin America, its regions, nations, and important physical features, followed by a test over this material. There are no surprises in the test. The students know which features they will be asked to name and are given a few days to study. The next 4 lectures in Module 1 begin by outlining the cultural geography of the region and then its physical geography. Because the course is aimed at non-science majors, this module is finished by lectures that introduce plate tectonic concepts and outline the geologic evolution of Latin America. The next 5 lectures comprise the second course module, focused on mining and minerals. This module also allows us to briefly review the early history of Latin America. The first lecture explores how and when people came to the region, leading to the great Inca and Aztec civilizations. Next, we discuss how metals were used by Pre-Columbian people. This leads us naturally to the Spanish conquest of the Aztecs and the Incas, the collision of civilizations, and then to a lecture on how especially silver mining dominated the colonial economies of Mexico and Peru. These 8 lectures are followed by the first midterm, motivating students to review their notes and the slide decks, which we post online. We correct the midterm quickly and go over right answers in the next class before giving the last lecture in the Minerals and Mining module, which explores nitrate and copper mining in the Atacama Desert of northern Chile and how exploitation of these deposits led to a 19th century war and a 20th century military coup. The next module is an overview of Latin American energy and natural hazards. This begins with an explanation of geothermal energy, which is especially important for Mexico and Central America. Next, we devote 2 lectures to oil and gas. The first provides some basic information about how oil and natural gas form and where it is found, and the second discusses where it is found in Latin America and some history about how these deposits were discovered and how these have affected the region's development. The next lecture focuses on increasingly important deposits of lithium, needed for powering electric cars and battery storage of electricity generated from the sun and the wind. Mining dry lake beds or salars for lithium is causing environmental concerns and political unrest. The exploration of Latin American energy is followed by 2 lectures on natural hazards, first about earthquakes and then about volcanic eruptions, both of which are related to the plate tectonic setting of Latin America, completing the second course module. This is followed by the second midterm, again motivating students to review their notes and their slide decks. We correct the midterm quickly and go over the right answers in the next class before beginning 7 lectures of the last module on water and the environment. First is a lecture on the coupled oceanographic atmospheric phenomena called El Niño, which is also known as the El Niño Southern Oscillation, or ENSO. This lecture also lets us explore the link between the trade winds, ocean currents, nutrient supply, and the marine food chain. Next is a lecture about the glaciers of Latin America. Alpine glaciers near the equator are particularly interesting because they preserve an excellent climate record that is rapidly disappearing due to global climate change, hurting especially nearby farmers who rely on glacial meltwater for their crops. A lecture about the Amazon River is next, by far the biggest river in the world. We discuss not only the river system itself, but also explain why it is so large and outline some of the remarkable animals and plants that depend on it. Following naturally after this, we lecture about Latin American rainforests, especially but not exclusively about the Amazon rainforest. We explore a number of topics, including the climate required to produce rainforests and their trophic systems and animals. We also explain why rainforests are important and outline how these are being reduced in size. The next lecture explores the coral reefs of Latin America, which are concentrated around the Caribbean. We explain that coral reefs are remarkable examples of symbiosis with photosynthetic algae living in soft tissues of the coral animal host, and how global warming causes the algae to leave, leading to coral death and bleaching. The next 2 lectures explore things closer to the United States, first discussing the challenges of sharing the limited water of the Rio Grande and Rio Conchos, which flow through the Chihuahuan Desert between the United States and Mexico. We explore how population growth in this region is stressing water supplies and the importance of treaties and bilateral monitoring agencies for sharing this scarce resource between the 2 nations. The final lecture is an overview of the Antilles, where the people of 12 nations and 19 dependencies live on many islands on the north, south, and east rim of the Caribbean Sea. Many people do not consider this region as part of Latin America, but we think it deserves to be included as part of the course. This is followed by the third midterm, again motivating students to review their notes and the slide decks. We correct the midterm quickly and go over right answers in the final class before reviewing what was covered in the course. Following the course review, a comprehensive final exam ends the class. Grades are based 10% on the geography test, 25% each on the best 3 of 4 test scores, and 15% on class participation and attendance. Almost 80% of the students did well in the course, receiving a B+ or better. Only 22% struggled, receiving a B- or lower. We were especially interested to get feedback from the students, so we offered 2 points extra credit if students completed the UTD online course evaluation. We received 18 evaluations from the 23 students who finished the course. Mean evaluation scores ranged from 3.2 to 4.8 on the 5-point Likert scale, where a 5 indicates strong agreement and a 1 signals strong disagreement with each of 15 statements about the course experience, the instructors, and the student experience. We received the best scores for course objectives, preparation, enthusiasm, fairness, and encouraging student questions and opinions. We received the lowest scores for course organization, quality, and value, and for our communications and accessibility. Overall, we are encouraged by student responses to the course. It is clear that the topic is important, the students are interested, and that the course helps address the challenges of increasing diversity in science. It also is clear that we need to improve some aspects, which we intend to do. We will offer the course again in fall 2022 as a 3-hour online course supplemented by a 1-hour optional discussion course. We are happy to share course materials with instructors who would like to consider adapting it for their own purposes. Just email one of us at UTD. All we ask is that you share with us anything that you changed about the course and any information, any feedback from how the students responded to your course. Thanks for your attention.